All right, guys, let's get started. 4 arrivals this week, 3 departures, and 1 watch that I have bought for myself. God knows how long it'll be in my hands because we all know that I sell my watches after a few wears. The watch that this is actually replacing was the GMT Master 2 Coke. I wore that 3 times before this came up for sale. I scrambled to get that one sold because I was too excited and just had to get my hands on this. But let's start with what came in and is now on the way out. All 3 in front of me have since sold in the last 2 days. So start with this one. This is the Rolex 16013G that I was talking about in the last video that hadn't arrived. Here it is here. Absolutely stunning looking watch. No wonder this didn't last long. A very happy client picked that one up, and it's actually his birth year watch, so he's super excited. He's been chasing a 1987 for a long time, and we have now filled that order. Secondly, we have the Omega Geneve, very Gerald Genter-ish kind of design. He didn't design it, but it looks like he did. Beautiful looking watch. Gold plated. What else can I say about this? Manual wind, great condition, original box, extremely hard to find with the older Omegas. And that is off to its new home as of about half an hour ago. And then finally, we have this beautiful little ladies Art Deco. Honestly, don't even know the serial or reference number of this, or the serial numbers on the movement, sorry, don't know the reference number of this watch, but it is fantastic looking. And that one is now off to a new home as well. Lastly, what I bought myself is a very, very rare Rolex. It's a Rolex 16013, which isn't rare, but it does have the original Tiffany & Co. stamped dial. Blue dial, two-tone, very, very my style. This came up for sale in my searches, and within an hour of it coming up, I just had to buy it. I had to scramble to get my other watch sold. I actually bought this before I sold that one. Very irresponsible of me, but that had to be in my collection. Does need a little bit of work, needs a service pretty soon, and the bracelet isn't in the best condition, so tossing up whether to get the bracelet redone or keep it as original as possible, seeing as there's a very good chance that I'm going to sell it down the track, probably in 6 months or so, after I've gotten my wares out of it. But that brings me to what is on my wrist today. Obviously, it's the Omega Speedmaster, because all I've been doing is a lot of paperwork, a lot of admin stuff, sending out invoices, speaking to clients. Haven't really left the couch besides going to the gym, hence the Sydney attire, activewear head to toe, hasn't come off all day. So it was definitely a day for the daily watch. That brings me to what we're going to talk about next. Yes, how I became a watch dealer. Very, very odd story, really. It wasn't something that I pursued as such. I have always been into watches ever since the age of about 16 years old. When I got my first watch, it happens to be a Nixon that I was walking past a surf shop, and I'm pretty sure it was a Westfield shopping center. Love the shape. It was like this square dial sort of watch. I've still got it in my wardrobe, actually. That watch will never leave my side. I think it was about $250 from memory. And as soon as that hit my wrist, the love of watches just began. I got into researching brands. I've always been into vintage stuff. At the same time that I bought that watch, I was actually buying, building, and selling vintage bicycles. So that was my very first business at the age of 16. And then ever since then, I've just been into anything vintage. I've had loads of vintage cars, bought and sold them. I get real bored real quick. So pretty much anything I buy, I resell. And then I just happened to start buying vintage watches and selling them, like I just said, within 6 months of buying them. So then I started a little Instagram page, see if anyone had the same interest in watches that I did. Gained a little bit of traction, sold a Tudor Oyster and a Omega Seamaster, the 1660-216, gold plated, absolute staple watch that I always sell, and I will never not buy them when I find them because I'm still in love with that watch. And that's pretty much how I started. So uploaded those 2 watches. They ended up selling strictly through Instagram. And then I just built the page from basically nothing into what it is today. Started with about, those 2 watches maybe would have cost me just under 3,000 Australian dollars at the time. Made pretty much no profit. I'm pretty sure I took a loss on the Tudor actually. Made maybe $100 profit on the Omega. And it took a good 6 months before I made any sort of money on any of the watches. And funnily enough, it's grown a lot faster than I ever expected it would have, because my end goal was to have a business that was selling like your 16013 Datejust. I was in love with vintage two-tone Datejust, still am, still will never get over them. But buying and selling Rolexes was something that I thought I'd be doing way down the track. But then the traction just got me there a lot sooner, and I'm pretty happy of how it's going so far. Growing at a very good steady rate, a rate that I'm comfortable with and that I think I can handle for now. I do want to kick it up a notch this year, get some bigger watches in. I have my eye on a AP Royal Oak, probably two-tone quartz, mid-80s, that sort of thing. I want to get one of those in just for maybe a personal watch, wear it for a bit and then sell it, see if I can get those sold on the page and then go from there. But I'm extremely, I'll say, humbled from my experience so far, how good it is just to talk to all the clients and everyone. That's the best part, really. The followers that I have on Instagram, the people I get to talk to, sell watches to, meet and greet, are just insane. I have the craziest client base. Everyone does something interesting. Everyone is interesting and everyone has such a sick style. But I guess that's just the watches I sell. People are excited about the watches I sell, and that just brings that sort of clientele in. So that's how I got started in this industry anyway. It wasn't really something that I pursued, almost came into it by accident. And let's just see where it takes us in the future. Any questions or advice or anything you need to know, drop it in the comments. I'll answer as best I can, maybe in the next video or something. One thing I won't give up, and one, actually, you know what, I'll give you a little bit of advice on the number one question that I always receive, constantly getting DMs on TikTok and Instagram. Where do I find watches? There is no secret formula to finding vintage watches. You find them wherever you can, whether it be on the internet, other dealers, on Instagram, anywhere you can find vintage watches, that's where you find them. Try to find yourself a good watch maker who can authenticate those watches for you. See if you can get them authenticated either before you pay for them or have a deal with, if you're buying them privately, it's a bit hard, but if you're buying off another dealer, just have kind of like a cashback deal or a money back deal if it comes back and it's not authentic, that sort of thing, because you definitely can get stung. I got stung in the early days. I bought an Omega off eBay of all places. Should have known better, but I bought it off eBay just because it was a good deal. It arrived, had my suspicions, popped the case back off, knew there was something wrong. It was a fake, and then the seller ended up closing his eBay account. I lost my money. That was a great lesson. Don't get stung like I did. Do your research. You have to do your research. Know your watches back to front. Have as many go through your hands as possible before you go to sell them. Know what you're looking at. Do your research. This isn't a industry for someone who is just coming into it with no knowledge, unfortunately. You definitely need to know what you're looking at. You need to know what to look for. It's not like selling shoes or anything like that. You've got a mechanical movement inside. Parts could be changed. Bracelets could be changed. Wrong serial numbers. Pretty much anything can go wrong with a watch. There is a million different components that can be swapped out, replaced, and you need to know what you're looking for. And that's how you don't get burnt, and that's how you get a start in the industry. So do your research. Hope some of this made sense. I hope you gained something from this video, and let me know what you want to see for the next video. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you can to engage, send it around to your friends. Help me grow this little YouTube page that we have started. See you next time.